Hey guys, my name is Kevin Jackson, and today I'm going to give you a sneak peek into one of my biggest secrets in my blocking workflow. It's a technique I created when I started in the industry about 5 years ago, and it's sure to save you a huge amount of time. In this demonstration, I'll be using MGtools, which can be purchased on the mgland.com website, the Malcolm rig, which is available for free on animschool.com, and the Pose library tool, which is also available for free on sethcg.com. Okay, so let's get started. The idea here is we're going to have the character jump up, grab the pole, swing around it, and then land somewhere over here. So to start off, I'm going to open up our Pose library. I've already got everything keyed at default on frame 1, so I think I'm going to save that in case I need to go back. Go to the body here, and drop on a squat. Go to Pose 3 and drop on a stretch. And then go to Pose 4 and key that there. I want to make sure my master controller is keyed on these frames as well. Now for this one, I'm just going to rotate the master controller, whoops, wrong one, towards the bar, like so. Raise him up out of the ground a little bit, and have him look at where he's going. And then for the second pose where he actually grabs onto the bar, I'm going to grab everything that moves the character independent of the master. I'm going to move him down until his hands are about even with the master controller. And then we'll just move that up, rotate it back a little bit, and pose him there. I don't think I want the feet stretching quite so far now. And we need to remove the toe roll. Rotate, and then maybe add some offset here. Keep the stretch in the feet. That looks good. Alright, now here I'm going to add a quick finger pose. Drop on surprise. Mirror that. And keep him looking up. Okay, and now here is where it starts to get fun. So we're just going to use the master controller, and we're going to take advantage of the fact that we just have one control to rotate him all the way around this bar. And if you've ever done a spin or a flip animation, you know what a pain it is to grab each individual IK and foot control and move them and rotate them through space. It's a huge pain, and chances are you switch to FK while the character is in the air. Well, I like to avoid switching as much as possible, but in some cases you don't even have a chance. And in this case, where the character is actually grabbing onto the bar, you're pretty much stuck doing it in IK. So what we're going to do is use the master controller to get these rotations much quicker, and it'll make the blocking go by much easier. So here I'm going to add a little rotation to the body, bring him back to the bar, and grab the feet. Offset that a little bit. Now we need to add fists here. So I don't want a complete fist like I have saved in my pose library. I just want enough so he's grabbing onto the bar, so I'm going to hold control and just slowly dial in until it looks pretty good. And I'm going to mirror that, position this a little bit better, and there we go. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's good enough for now. And then we just go about rotating him around. Let's see, I want to have him kind of anticipate up. And we'll have him slow into this up pose and slow out of that, and then pick up some speed around here and there. Alright, so we've got our first rotation there. Now we'll do the release. I'm going to grab the body, drop on the squash pose again, and just rotate him like so. I forgot to key this all the way through. It's important that these are keyed on every frame, and we'll talk about that in a second. Alright, now we're going to go to the landing pose. Like there. And then we'll add our stretch in between. Grab the body, stretch. Whoops. And there we go. And I think just for the heck of it, we should add another flip right here. So what I'm going to do is give us some room. Move these guys out here. Key that one about 4 times. Now again, I'm going to grab everything that moves him. Actually, we should do this in world. Go ahead and do this. I'm going to move our character down so the rotation is happening here in the middle of the character. Copy that there. All right. Alright, so we've pretty much got this working. And go through here and make sure everything is keyed together. And then at the end, we will have him stand back up in the default pose. Okay, so there in about 10 minutes, we got a pretty decent animation blocked out of our character doing 2 360-degree rotations and then landing. Now at this point, you would want to spend a bit more time cleaning up your poses, make sure the fingers and hands are grabbing on correctly in there. But for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to move on to timing. We don't need this guy anymore. So I'm going to grab both my controls here, and I'm going to do the scale animation by 2. And let's see, now I've got about 37 frames. And there it is. I'd probably want to go in here and fine tune this some more, of course, but just a real quick idea. Whoops. Okay, so you would spend some time getting your timing right, whatever feels right to you. And then at this stage, your basic idea is all blocked in. You also have the option of changing the size of the character at this point. So if you grab your master controller, zero out the scale keys here, and scale him up. You can play through the animation, and he is still in the same basic screen space. Obviously, you'd need a little bit more cleanup here. This doesn't even make sense anymore with the size of that bar. But this actually comes in handy more often than you would expect. You will do your blocking and then show your first pass to your Annum director. And they will say, oh, he doesn't feel right. He feels too big or too small. Let's scale him up by 20%. And you only have that option if the character is always right on top of the master controller. Let's see, so far so good. Of course, the only problem is we still have all these keys on our master controller. So if you're getting ready to smooth it out and clean it up, this is going to cause a whole bunch of problems. So that is where the Annum Recorder comes into play. Now, before using the Annum Recorder, like I said before, you have to make sure all your keys are set on the same frames. Also, it might be a good idea to make sure everything is stepped, which is probably what it would be if you're blocking anyways. So now that we have that set up, let's talk about how we use the Annum Recorder. I'm going to select each control that I want the recorder to preserve, which is basically everything that moves the character around without using the master. So I'm going to go ahead and select the body, legs, pole vectors, arms, elbows, and head, and click Add. Now, the reason I added the head in there is because the way I have its orientation set up is it stays rotated no matter which way you turn the body. It is independent of its rotation. So if I want to preserve those rotations, I need to add it in the list. And the order is important. If you have the head before the body, you will get something like this. Because the head is a child of the body, it will get a double transform, and you'll get something like that on every pose. So make sure the head is selected last. And again, on the flip side, if you have your pole vectors or your arms IK parented to the chest, then you do not need them in the list because they will be repositioned automatically when the body repositions. Okay, and when you have all your controls selected in the correct order, you might want to save before you do this. Then you would press Record All. Now, if you just want to do a certain portion of the timeline, you can highlight it before pressing Record, and it will only do that section. But in this case, I want to do the full timeline. So I'm going to press Record, and it's pretty fast. Then I will select my master control and delete all the keys. Now when you play through it, you'll notice all your poses are still there. They're just happening right on top of each other, on top of the master controller, which is what we would expect. Now we will hit Apply All. And there you have it. Your animation exactly how you wanted it. And the master controller is not moving at all. Now this is pretty much a one-way road, because as you can see, once you do it, you can't really go back. So you want to make sure before you do it that you save and that all your poses are clean and your blocking idea is signed off. If you're at this stage and the Annum director all of a sudden decides he wants this flip to be a front flip instead of a back one, then you are pretty much screwed. But if that was the case, I would probably end up deleting everything from the release onward and just doing it over again on top of the master controller, the same way we did it before. Because in the end, it's still going to be much, much faster than trying to manually fix each control, body and legs and arms and so on. So this is a much faster way to do complex rotations and animations. Now, if you're curious why I've been doing this in FK arms, that is mainly because my pose library, my poses were saved in FK. Normally I would do this in IK, but this ended up being pretty easy, and at this stage I would probably use the IK-FK switch button to easily switch back to IK. And that's something you could do before you start cleaning up and smoothing out your animation. Now also notice what happens if we try to scale the character at this stage. He is no longer in the correct place. So like we talked about before, it is a really easy way to change the size of your character as long as you are still on top of the master controller. Now at this stage you're probably wondering, what about gimbal? Well, obviously this is not the curve you would expect to see when the character is flipping 360 degrees twice. But with Maya's Euler filter, it is a simple fix. So as you can see there, that is the result you would expect. You can do the same thing with the body, and then again with the hands. Okay. So this will make smoothing much easier, and you should get the results that you would expect. There's one more example I want to show you. And let's turn on our basic controls here. I'm going to switch the arm to IK. A lot of animators prefer to block their hands out in IK, but they like to have it parented to the chest. So you select the hand and click this little C button. Now when you adjust the chest or the body controls, you don't lose the hand pose relative to the body. And you could do the same thing for the elbow manipulator. This is my preferred method of blocking because it allows you to easily change the pose of your character while preserving your elbow and arm pose relative to the body. And it's great and all for blocking, but once you start splining and smoothing out your character, you'll notice that you are constantly fighting the influence of the chest rotations and translations. So you're constantly counter animating, and it makes getting smooth arcs really difficult with the arm. So it's another place where the Annum Recorder will come in handy. Let me remove these guys. So what you would do is do all your blocking with the arm parented to the chest, like so. Then grab your controls, add them to the Annum Recorder, record their positions, and then switch them back to world, like we did here, and then apply all, and it will go through and remember the exact world location of those controllers. And then you can smooth them out without the hassle of fighting with the chest controller. And of course, the exact same can be done for the feet IK and knee pull vectors. So that pretty much wraps up the tutorial. I hope you found it useful. A big thanks to Miguel Winfield for creating the tool for me and adding it into the set, the Anim School for the Malcolm rig, and Seth for the Pose library. Check the description for more details, and thanks for watching.